We call on people and organizations to engage in the fight against racism and discrimination against First Nations.
Amid the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day and the anniversary of Joyce Echaquan's death, the Atikamekw mother who died in a Joliette hospital 50 kilometers northeast of Montreal, hours after live streaming staff hurling racist insults at her, the Assembly of First Nations Quebec Labrador is launching an awareness campaign to reach Quebecers and have them join in on the fight against racism.
We realized over the last year that it is directly with the Québécois that we must work without waiting for government actions. Actions are always awaited, and that when they arrive, inevitably end up disappointing us.
The AFNQL released their own action plan on racism and discrimination a year ago, which included 141 actions for governments to take for reconciliation, a year after the Vienne Commission released their recommendations for Quebec to address what it calls undeniable systemic discrimination. An AFQNL poll conducted by Léger found 41% of people surveyed don't believe the government is doing anything significant to fight against racism and discrimination. And the Assembly of First Nations is asking Quebecers to join a social media campaign using the hashtag #ActAgainstRacism.
The human wave we've seen for the past year, maybe it's time that it turns into a tsunami so that governments will finally do the right thing.
One of the demands, the full adoption of Joyce's principle, created by the Atikamekw Nation, which demands that all Indigenous people have an equal right to the highest standard of physical and mental health, and calls on governments to take a strong stance against systemic racism.
The Vienne Commission never spoke about systemic racism. He asked for actions, and this is exactly what we're doing now. So I believe we can put measures in place to get better health services, better health service to First Nations, and without adding that notion of systemic racism.
It's really unfair for the government of Quebec to take that position because what they're really doing is they're denying the principle itself, because we look at it as a whole.
The first thing to do to me, is to recognize the systemic racism that First Nation women go through every day. So with this, by recognizing that, that little word that will change things, and I will start, because how can you say that you will change things when you don't recognize the problem?
On September 28th, the anniversary of Joyce's death, the nurse who insulted her in the hours before her death was suspended by the Order of Nurses.
It took this long for the order to finally render a decision. I find that sad. Does that mean that we have to find a way to maybe excuse racism, when it's right in our face?
And on National Truth and Reconciliation Day, some are asking Quebecers to do their part.
We can discuss about it, educate people, educate the Quebec nation about that statutory holiday that is recognized by other provinces and Canada, but not in Quebec.
In Montreal, Alyssia Rubertucci, City News.